right, moving on to our next question today. Have you had to overcome any challenges at university, and how did you do so? So for me, I think first year, it can be really tough. I failed my first ever assignment at university and I was absolutely devastated. But an important thing to remember is not everyone can get a high distinction. And your grades don't define you. You know, if you get a bad grade, don't let it get you down. You've got to pick yourself up and you've got to just keep giving it your best, because that's all that you can really do with your best. What about you, Ruby?
Not coming from a Catholic background or a Catholic school, I really struggled with the Logos program and really understanding the theology side of it all. But we're really lucky at Notre Dame to have teachers who are very much willing to take that extra time with you when you're not from that Catholic background. And it's really helped me realize through the Logos program, for example, in second year Logos, you'll do ethics. How important the Catholic ethos is to put across your university like life and in your career, and how comforting it can be to have that religious aspect.
Yeah, great. What about you, Angela? Have you overcome any challenges at university?
A lot. I've overcome quite a lot, but I think the main one that I've overcome was having to balance, so I have anxiety, and there was like a lot of mental health stuff. So I think I had to balance all of that in my first year, also because like the workload was quite a lot, and COVID had just hit, so there was a lot of changes happening, and I'm not very good with online learning. I have ADHD. It's very hard for me to do the online stuff. So that whole transition was very, very, very hard for me to overcome. But the university has so many things in place, like they have learning access plans and access and inclusion centres, and the teachers are all quite adaptable and they're all quite understanding. So there was, I think, a point in that time that I didn't think that I had any help. I wanted to leave. I was like, I'm not catching up. I'm falling behind, and I just wanted to quit. And then I reached out to Saundra actually, and was like, what do I do? I was like, I don't know what to do. I want to leave. I want to quit. And they were like, no, contact. Like I already had a learning access plan in place, but they were like, contact counselling, contact the learning access plan, put a new plan in place, and the university all banded together. And actually this year as well, I was in contact with parts of the uni to change, because they have, some policies that just didn't apply to my situation. So I had to go and approach the university and be like, what can I do? Because these policies are kind of stopping me from doing things. And it's a very, like, you don't realize how adaptable the uni's not there to make you fail. They don't want you to fail. And so a lot of people, I think, start, panic and leave. So in your first year, if you have a situation where you're like, I want to quit because of this, I would suggest reach out, because there would be a solution somewhere that you're not aware of that can pull some strings to kind of keep you on track. That was the biggest outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Angela. Honey, have you had any challenges so far?
Learning online was probably one of my biggest challenges. I started my first year of uni online, so I didn't actually see the campus for like 6 months, which I found quite distressing in the beginning. I couldn't concentrate. I was like, just finding so many other things to do because I was like in my computer all day, every day. But I got used to it, as I'm sure you guys are going to learn this year. This semester's online too, mostly. So my tips are really just to separate yourself, go to another room, make sure you're not eating, sleeping, studying in the same spot, which helped me. But yeah, it was a big challenge, although it is something you definitely can overcome.
Thank you. Kate, have you overcome any challenges?
I think definitely, yeah, I have to say that the online thing, and I started face-to-face, and then we've had to transition to online. And, one of the reasons I chose this university was the face-to-face, the small class sizes, the open door policy, and those relationships you get to build with the staff who, eventually become more like colleagues. And so I do feel for everyone who's starting online, but as I said, I think the biggest thing is that that potential is there, but you just have to put yourself out there and you have to engage and it can be daunting as well, particularly, in this sort of thing on Zooms and stuff. It feels a little bit like the spotlight's on you. But we're all in the same boat, and everyone is feeling exactly the same thing. So just remember that. And the other thing was also quite similar to Alicia, is when you put a lot of pressure on yourself to do well, and you have these expectations, and then you see people around you, and you feel like they're doing better than you somehow, whatever the case may be. And the key is as well that you just need to remember that everyone has their own lives, which are so different in terms of their responsibilities, whether they're working or not, with their living situations, and your strengths. And my biggest message is just run your own race. If you need to shut off, the social medias and the chats and all that sort of stuff, do it, because they can be both a help and a hindrance. And you just need to find what works for you, and just focus on what you can do and do your best in the situation. And it will be, I promise you, it'll be enough. You don't need to compare yourself to other people, and you're probably doing a lot better than you think you are.
I think there's some really wise words in there, Kate. Thank you. And last, Zoe, have you had any challenges that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. So in one of my units that I did last semester, I ran out of time in my exam, and it was something I was super, super stressed about. And two of the other assessments in that unit were group projects, and because it wasn't solely on me, group work can be a bit hard. The marks weren't the best, and it was something that I was really worried about. All those things put together, but I think it's just active participation in class as well. I think all those things add up, and constant communication with your tutor or your lecturer. They're there to help you, and I think that sort of adds up at the end of semester, and they can see that the hard work that you put in on top of that as well. So I think, just be involved as much as you can, and just try. It won't be perfect, but it worked out. I ended up passing the unit. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I think I can definitely relate. I've definitely had that situation where I run out of time. I ran out of time in a exam last semester, and I'm in 5th year. So it happens. It happens to everybody.